Hi there, sport fans. This is Johnny Most reporting for the Boston Celtics. Well, let's just relax and watch that seventh game.
With the ball here, plays one of the greatest games in a brilliant career.
Even before Red Auerbach got hired by the Celtics, the NBA game was already evolving. More speed, more movement, more people trying to get off the floor. In Washington and in Tri-Cities, the redhead had made the fast break a core element of his style of play. In Boston with Cousy and later Russell, he had the opportunity to take it to another level. Auerbach had caught the fast break bug while playing at George Washington University for Bill Reinhart, who'd been going up-tempo since the 1930s. Reinhart was 20 years ahead of his time, said Auerbach to Jeff Greenfield for his book, The World's Greatest Team. The fast break has to become a way of life. It's automatic, it's ingrained, wrote Auerbach in his first autobiography with Joe Fitzgerald. You want to be ready to fast break all the time, not just when the situation's perfect. We practiced for hours and hours. And to the Brooklyn native, quote, Cousy just happened to be the best guard who ever lived when it came to execution of the fast break. The fast break was an opportunity to score easy or even uncontested baskets in a short amount of time, spending less energy on offense while wearing out the opposing team. It was also galvanizing for players and at the same time potentially demoralizing for the opponents. There's no question that today's NBA is the most athletic, high-flying, and speedy it's ever been, to a point where it's almost impossible to compare current players to the ones that roamed the league in the 1950s. Yet, the 1959-1960 Celtics still hold the NBA all-time record for the highest number of shot attempts per game over a season. And Boston has 4 of its Auerbach-era teams in the top 5. On average, the 1960 Celtics took a shot every 24 seconds. And that's including the opponent's possessions. Last season, NBA teams were averaging 30 attempts less than this high-marked Boston squad. The three-point line, which wasn't around in the 1950s and 60s, explains some of the gap. But it gives a sense of the kind of game these Celtics were used to. In his own way, Auerbach echoed basketball's founding father, James Naismith, for whom the ultimate way to play the game was to always be on the attack, on offense and defense, wherever the ball is. It took Auerbach and Bob Cousy some time to adjust to each other. But once the stars aligned, the coach was able to supercharge his fast break offense thanks to Cous's speed, court vision, and dribbling skills. And even though to Auerbach going to the fast break was always about winning and nothing else, having a team play this spectacular blend of up-tempo basketball did help raise the Celtics' popularity in the US, but more specifically in Boston, where they were constantly overshadowed by the Red Sox and the Bruins. In 10 years from the inaugural season to Russell's rookie campaign, attendance tripled at the Boston Garden, even though it was far from selling out. I was aware that my style of play was attractive to fans in those days, that it was a selling tool at a time when we were trying to do everything we could to attract people, once said Cousy. Once Auerbach retired as a coach and Russell took over in 1966, he kept on with the same offensive philosophy, remembers Jim Barnett, who played for us during his rookie season.
You know, the Celtics were the best fast break team I was ever on. And they were the best in the NBA at that time, and everybody knows it. And Russell would throw half-court passes, pick that rebound up as he's coming down, winding up to throw a pass out to a breaking guard near half-court.
Mel Counts, who spent his first 2 seasons in the league with Boston at the very end of Auerbach's tenure, remembers that it was always about pushing it up to take advantage of the defense.
They played up-tempo before the word was even thought of. Now it's up-tempo, but they started that way back in the 50s and 60s where they pushed the ball up.
In the NBA early days, salaries weren't high enough to sustain a player year-round. Almost everybody had to work in the off-season to make ends meet. In a 2008 interview with the Los Angeles Times, Celtics great and 7-time NBA champion Frank Ramsey said he didn't touch a basketball after the season ended till training camp in September. That's something that would be unimaginable today, with players filling the off-season with workouts, drills, and pickup games. I had a job on a farm or construction, explained Ramsey. I got up at 4 a.m. I worked. I went to bed early. I had 3 kids. I was just trying to survive. I didn't have time to play ball. Same went for forward Bailey Howell, who was on the Celtics roster during the last 3 seasons of the early dynasty. What kind of job were you doing when you were playing?
I had a sales job. It's hard to. It almost has to be sales when you're only available to work 4 or 5 months in the summer.
Yet, whatever constraints may have kept most of these players off the court over summer, it didn't matter once the team got back together. Auerbach always believed you could get off to a quick start if you were in shape, while the other guys were working themselves up after the season had started, recalled Bob Branham, who spent 4 years as a Celtics but retired right before the franchise's first championship season. In his autobiography, Give Them the Hook, Tom Heinsohn described how his first training camp unraveled as a rookie in 1956. Over the summer, Heinsohn had lost almost 20 pounds, as required by Auerbach working out every day.
I thought it was in fantastic shape, he wrote. The first 2 days of camp caused me no problems. I went through all the drills and thought I handled them pretty well. They were designed to get you running faster, all the time faster. Every session was predicated on that. You'd start off at a trot, then crank it up to what you thought was full speed, at which point Auerbach would start yelling for you to accelerate. Now you were running as fast as you possibly could, which was not only what he wanted, it was what he demanded.
On the morning of the 3rd day of training camp, Heinsohn, known for his stamina, woke up feeling there wasn't one muscle in his body that didn't ache. I shivered with pain. I could barely bend my legs to put my pants on. For his teammates, they all looked as sore as I did. Heinsohn tells about Willie Knowles, a 4-time All-Star forward with the Knicks, who signed with Boston in 1963.
He'd been in the league 7 years by that time, and thought he knew the ropes, thought he'd seen just about everything. But he'd never seen an Auerbach training camp, much less experienced one for himself. He did alright that first morning, but later that afternoon, Red had us running and jumping all over the Babson College gym, where the team trained. Then with no rest, he ordered us on the floor and demanded sit-ups. Well, that was too much for Willie. First the poor guy puked, then he passed out. Red ordered us to drag him to a corner, where we left him, and then the workout continued. Auerbach's plan was to torture anyone into a superlative shape, and he made no bones about it. He believed he could get a jump on the rest of the league if his team was in superior condition when it left camp. What he really wanted to do was get us psychologically prepared to play his style of basketball for 48 minutes a game. An Auerbach team never rested. Red's idea was to keep everyone putting out 100% all the time, with replacements coming off the bench as needed to maintain that exhausting pace.
Jim Barnett witnessed something similar with Russell as a coach.
But I remember, who was the dadgum center that they picked up who had retired from Cincinnati? Wayne Embry. Wayne Embry had retired, and Bill Russell wanted a backup center. And so they went and got him as a free agent or a trade somehow. But they got him from the Cincinnati Royals. And Wayne was a big 6'10" guy, but he was very, very heavy. And I'll bet he weighed 280 pounds at least. And he was not in shape. So because he had retired. And all of a sudden, right before training camp, they signed Wayne Embry. So he came in. He was really a great guy, by the way. Really nice guy. And I just remember one time when we ran in place for about 20 minutes, running up and down, ran in place. And there was the biggest pool of sweat beneath Wayne Embry. It was about 4 feet wide all the way around him. And it was just it was like someone poured a bucket of water over him. They were trying to sweat him out of, sweat that out of him. It just was, it was archaic. It was, just old rules, archaic, do what you're supposed to do. It was just different. The players had no power whatsoever. And certainly even Russell carried on that tradition from Auerbach, and he worked us pretty hard.
The fast break became so integral to the Celtics offense that the whole scheme started on the defensive end. This is the way Bill Russell describes a conversation with Bob Cousy in an interview with Taylor Branch for the Civil Rights History Project in 2013.
One day he says to me, on the rebounds and block shots, you come on the ball, you're looking for me. When the shot's taken, I'll run over to this spot over here. It's halfway between the free throw line and the half court on the left side. And so if we're on the road, I look for the green. And out of the corner of my eye, I didn't have to turn around and look. I could catch the ball, catch the rebound, and just change direction. He would take 2 dribbles and then we'd have a layup.
Back in those days, Boston had several premium athletes on its roster. Russell, above all, of course, but also Casey Jones, who almost made it to the NFL as a defensive back, one of the most physically demanding positions in football, having to follow and chase receivers. Bill Sharman was a track athlete and a quarterback in high school, and was once called up by the Brooklyn Dodgers as a professional minor league baseball player. Gene Conley cleared 6 feet 3 inches, 1.9 meter, in high jump as a teenager and was a 4-time MLB All-Star. As for Bob Cousy, he could run with the best of them, although he's probably one of the most underrated athletes in NBA history. But the way Auerbach saw it, fast break wasn't necessarily about athletic ability. Quote, "A Cousy isn't indispensable, and you don't have to have a Russell. What you do need is discipline, an understanding of the fundamentals, and again, conditioning." Boston was so systematic about instantly transitioning to offense that it impacted the opposing team's offense. That's the way Auerbach wanted it, as described in his autobiography.
If a team knows you're going to fast break, they probably won't crash the offensive boards because they're afraid they'll look ridiculous if you beat them back down court. So, when they take a shot, they're stepping backwards instead of forward. There's an immediate advantage.
During the 1959-1960 season, the Celtics averaged 80 rebounds per game, an all-time record. The best rebounding team last season got only 46 per game. When Auerbach passed away in 2006, in an interview with NPR, Tom Heinsohn tried to decipher why the legendary coach had made the fast break such a centerpiece of his teams, something that carried on in Boston even after he retired.
I think from his World War II experiences was to destroy the will of the other team to beat you, and he put you through a supreme physical and mental test with his strategy of running hard in a fast break and full court press, so you were always being attacked, one way or another. It was like a guerrilla warfare, and the other team had to sustain playing at twice the pace that they normally played at, and having to think twice as fast as they normally did.
The 11 podcast is produced, written, narrated, and edited by me, Thomas Urban. Sound design by Bruno Urban. Thanks to all the Celtics voices that agreed to talk. Additional voices by Ross Ferguson and Jeremy Urban. If you like the show, please leave a review.